As the bikers stood in the sunlight, staring at the note left by Tommy, Emma, and Lily, a heavy silence hung in the air. Jake turned the small, polished leather patch over in his hand, feeling the rough texture against his skin. For him, it wasn't just a piece of fabric, it was a memory stitched with tears, laughter, and the sound of rain from years ago. "Hard to believe they were just kids when we met them," murmured Mike, his voice cracking slightly. "Now they're out there, chasing dreams." Jake nodded, his eyes misty. "We thought we were helping them, but they were the ones who helped us." The bikers sat down on the steps of the old wooden house. It had been repaired and painted, not fancy, but cared for, as if someone had tried to preserve it in gratitude. The same little yard now had flowers growing along the fence, and an old tricycle rested against the wall. Suddenly, Jake's phone buzzed. It was an unknown number. He answered. "Hello." A familiar voice came through, young, soft, but confident. "Is this, Mr. Jake?" "It's Tommy." Jake froze, his heart skipping a beat. "Tommy. Kid, is that really you?" "Yes, sir," Tommy replied, a smile audible through the phone. "I'm 21 now. I wanted to hear your voice again. Emma and we started a small community center for kids who've lost their parents, just like us. We called it Road Brothers Home." Jake's throat tightened. "You named it after us." "After what you taught us," Tommy said quietly. "That family isn't always blood. Sometimes, it's the people who stop on a rainy road and choose to care." Mike leaned closer, listening. "Tell him we're proud of him," he whispered. Jake smiled. "Tommy, you've made us proud. All of us. The brothers still ride together, you know." "I know," Tommy replied. "Every time I hear motorcycles on the highway, I look up and hope it's you guys." The conversation went on for an hour. The bikers listened as Tommy told them about his studies, how Emma was training to be a nurse, and how Lily, the baby who once cried in their arms, was now in school and loved drawing motorcycles. Before hanging up, Tommy said something that made Jake's eyes well up again. "You told me once that I'd already repaid the money. But you were wrong, sir. I'm still repaying it, every time I help a child smile." Jake couldn't speak. His voice broke when he finally whispered, "Keep riding forward, Tommy. The road's yours now." After the call ended, the bikers sat quietly for a while. The sun was setting, painting the sky gold and crimson. The sound of the wind mixed with the soft creak of their motorcycles cooling down. Mike sighed deeply. "You know, Jake, we should visit them. Maybe take a ride to that community center." Jake looked out toward the horizon. "Yeah, one more ride for the kids." 2 weeks later, the engines thundered again. The same group of bikers, a little older now, with more gray in their beards but the same fire in their hearts. They rode through winding hills, open highways, and sleepy towns until they reached the city outskirts. A small wooden sign stood beside the road, "Road Brothers Home, for children in need." As they pulled in, children came running to greet them, waving and laughing. Among them stood Tommy and Emma, no longer the scared little orphans they once were, but strong, smiling young adults. Tommy ran forward, hugging Jake tightly. "You came." Jake laughed, patting his back. "Of course we did. Family keeps promises." Emma wiped tears from her eyes as she greeted Mike and the others. The bikers handed out gifts, toys, and books. The courtyard filled with laughter, the kind that heals old wounds. Inside the center, there were photographs on the wall, pictures of the bikers with the 3 kids, old newspaper clippings, and a framed patch, the very one Jake had given Tommy years ago. Below it, a plaque read, "For those who taught us to never stop believing in kindness." The bikers stood in silence, their hearts swelling with pride and emotion. Mike whispered, "We didn't just change their lives. They changed ours." Tommy walked up and said, "We built this place with the same spirit you gave us. Every child here has a chance, food, books, a bed, and hope." Jake looked around at the smiling faces. "That's what the world needs, son, more hope." That evening, the bikers and the children gathered around a bonfire. Someone brought out a guitar, and soon the air was filled with songs, laughter, and stories. Tommy handed Jake a cup of tea and said, "Do you remember the first day we met? You gave me milk. Now it's my turn to serve you." Jake laughed through tears. "Full circle, huh?" The stars glittered overhead. The engines rested nearby like sleeping beasts, while the flames danced, casting warm light on every face. As the night grew deeper, Jake stood up and addressed everyone. Years ago, we thought life was just about the road, about how far and how fast we could go. But that day, in the rain, we learned something far more important. Life isn't measured in miles, it's measured in moments like this, where kindness becomes legacy. The crowd applauded softly. Even the bikers, hardened by decades on the road, had tears in their eyes. Before leaving, Tommy handed Jake a small box. Inside was a new patch. It read, "Road Brothers, Generations of Kindness." Jake pinned it to his jacket with trembling hands. "You're one of us now, officially," he said, smiling at Tommy. Tommy nodded. "Always have been." The engines roared once again as dawn broke, light spilling across the highway. The children waved from the gate, shouting their goodbyes. Jake looked back one last time, the sign of Road Brothers Home, glowing in the morning sun. He whispered to himself, "They kept their promise, and so will we." As the bikers disappeared into the horizon, their hearts carried more than the rumble of engines. They carried the memory of three small souls who turned pain into purpose, and whose words, "Pay for milk, we'll return the money when we grow up," had become a living symbol of hope, love, and the endless road of kindness.